back to contact though, was there anything from your own life experience that either consciously or subconsciously bled its way into the story?
Yes. Yeah. My we used to live up in the Hudson Valley, and we had great in Socrates and
Hmm.
in West Camp, not far from you.
Yeah.
And they had great asteroid showers. If you remember, I mean, you always there was sometime during the year we'd have a great asteroid shower.
You go up to Overlook Mountain and watch them
Yeah,
from Magic
yeah.
Meadow.
But we were right there. We were in the. I was had my son on my shoulders one night. He was about 4 or 5, no, 3 or 4, and we were this beautiful night, and there was a we were out there watching the meteor shower, and it was pretty spectacular that night. And we're he's on my shoulders, oohing and eyeing, um, and he finally says, um, "Dad, who's out there? Not what or is God or heaven? Who's out there?" And that got me because that's I've always I've since a very early age that's been my thing is who's out there and can I go and can I get on the ship and go? Can I get picked up? Can I be abducted? And that stayed with me. And I wrote Contact at that house in West Camp in the
Wow.
snowstorms. Um, that got me. 3-year-old kid who's out there. And that's the kind of outward urge and the kind of outward uh, desire and gravitation, gravity pulling you away from Earth instead of to Earth that I think Carl was talking about is that inquisitive curiosity that keeps us wanting to expand and explore. That's what he wanted. And that got me. And that stayed with me all writing the script. I would always remember that moment with Jake, who's out there? Because that's what the movie's about.
Oh yeah. I mean, to me, Contact is kind of both fundamentally scientific, but also kind of got like you said, the religious balance in it in kind of the best of ways. It blows my mind that in Carl's book it ends with the idea that there's actually a rational intelligence, not just obviously behind the wormholes and transportation system, but behind the entire universe itself. I mean, coming from the mind of Carl Sagan, I mean, what did you actually make of it the first time you actually read the story yourself?
Once I got past all the religious stuff, at the center of it was exactly what the solution to so many of our problems would be, is let's stop spending money on killing each other and let's start spending money on trying to join this galaxy, the citizens of the galaxy that Carl says we can go do. um, and work towards that kind of like all the private space programs right now are so hopeful and positive, and it's exactly what Heinlein said would happen. As soon as private industry takes over space travel, then we'll all go to space. We'll all get there, and that's what's happening. And I keep waiting for it to catch on even more instead of being so controversial who Elon Musk is or what Branson's doing. Look at what's happening. We're going to the space. We're going back to the moon. We're going to Mars. You know, that's what Carl wanted. He wanted a robust science community of citizen scientists as well. To that's what we should be doing with our time. That's what we should be doing with our efforts and our dreams instead of what religion and what God. There was a line that's not in the movie that Carl and I and Ann wanted that I wrote. No, yeah, your God is too small. And it was an argument that Ellie would have with Joss about what was wrong with religion. That my God, your God's too small. Mine's the universe. It's not divisive. It doesn't create divisions. It doesn't start wars. It doesn't punish people. That's the universe. And um, Zemeckis wouldn't shoot it because it had a religious offended to one of our actors who shall remain nameless. But that was a line I wish had been in the film, and it still gets me that it's not because she was talking about something that if you think of the universe as being bigger than anything, God in a box that you pull out when you need it is not God.
With kind of how the book ends, but the film ending is a little bit different. I've only learned recently that the ending of
Ah,
the film is not necessarily your favorite piece of writing in your
no,
stellar resume. What do
no.
you think of the ending all these years later? And is there still anything you wish you could have done differently to wrap up the film versus the story?
Yeah, there is. We wrote a completely different ending that Carl liked, that Annie liked. Uh, the ending for me is ambiguous. Uh, Zemeckis did not want to have it be definite that it happened. He wanted it to be questioned. Did it really happen? Did it not happen? In the book, it happened. And Ellie goes through that whole brilliantly scripted uh, interrogation scene that Goldenberg did, and where she can't make herself use the word faith. And the only thing that, and our ending was Carl wanted there to be proof that it happened. And in the book Pi, the equation pi was the thread that tied all that together. If you carried pi out far enough, you would see the artist's signature. There'd be some point where those transcendental numbers took on a shape and a form that was not transcendental. It was suddenly it was the artist. It was it was the artist's signature that the universe was created by a higher power that you don't have to have faith to believe in. It's a math equation. Math is the language of the universe, not preachers and what have you. So we had a scene where she's at the array with all the telescopes, and she has a kid. She and Joss have a child. Joss is off somewhere in South America, and Sam is like 2 years old, 3 years old. And they've given her a big giant computer to carry out pi. So we see all the, and she's giving a school tour, and she can't find Sam. The nanny didn't know where Sam went, so she goes into the computer room, and there's Sam sitting in the chair just looking, you know, wow. And all of a sudden the screen locks up, and you begin to see these concentric perfect circles form zeros. And the circle doesn't exist in nature except as a cell. The nucleus, your nucleus, your cells, that's where the perfect circle exists in nature. Um, and um, and Ellie realizes that wherever you are in the universe, pi times the radius square is always the same. Every piece of matter is connected through the same kind of cellular structure. We get matter that drops in from outer space. You can go in and carbon date it because of its composition. And then you went to H.R. Haddon, who was dying and being sent out into space, and you start seeing circles: pizza, basketball hoop, baseball, you know, uh, circles that we know about every day that are still related to what's out there. And so she knew that it happened, and she had now proof that it happened. And Zemeckis wanted to keep it ambiguous. That's why the only thing you get is when Jimmy Woods talks to just went up her name, the vice president, and they talk about the 18 minutes of missing data on the recording. That's interesting. That's the only nod you get to it really happened.
Yeah.
And I think he was adamant about that the world understand this was real. It happened. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a hoax, you know, and that's gone to me. So it's not a satisfying ending for me.
Was that something that he was fighting for, or was it something that didn't make it? Had he not passed when he passed, do you think it would have made it in
I don't know. I was so far out of the loop at that
by that
point
point?
that
Okay.
however that decision was made, there was nobody that could resist it because it was Zemeckis. And listen, the movie works on so many levels. He did an incredible job. It's just that there were things that I know were important to Carl that didn't get in. There were things that were important to me that didn't get in. But the movie experience, you can't argue with how people connect to that film.
Oh, and I was going to say, on the flip side of what we were just talking about, what was it like seeing that film with an audience for the first time, and what kind of reactions did you observe in the room if
Oh, I
you
was
saw
in
it?
tears. I mean, I saw it by myself again, like I saw Hook.
Hmm.
And when Carl's name came up, I just lost it, for Carl.
Yeah.
I didn't see it with an audience until the world premiere. I flew in from London, and Jody was gracious enough to invite us.
Hmm.
And the audience, I mean, my recollection of that audience was they were totally enthralled, and if the audience doesn't know what's not there, It doesn't matter. I mean, they're
Yeah.
reacting to what's there.
Oh, they
They
don't
don't
know
know
what's
what's
been
not
cut,
there
so they don't know what they're
unless
missing.
they read the book or something. But so I can't. I always go back to that. It's the audience that makes and breaks our work, not us. Doesn't matter how brilliant we are, how good we think we are. The audience is who determines whether we succeed or fail, whether we can do it again. You know,
Oh, it's
uh,
true. I'm
and
working on something right now, and there's things that we cut, and they're never going to know what could have been, but I
yeah,
think people still like it.
I start telling hook stories, and people go, "Oh my God, really?" I mean, they love the movie. So the audience is our ultimate arbiter. And I try to teach that in all my classes, all my workshops, all my mentoring is that you're not writing for yourself. If you're in this business, you're not writing for yourself. I don't care what director or writer says, "Oh, I just do this for what
Oh no.
you're writing for the audience. And if you don't make the audience part of your process, so if they're sitting behind your shoulder, what do they know? When do they find out? How do they find out? Are they happy when they find out? Do they need to know more? If you're not aware of that audience presence when you're writing, that's what happened you're going to come up and make mistakes and forget things and leave things out that they're going to say, wait a minute, why is that person doing that? Or why am I not, now I'm lost. Anyway, I'm on my teaching rant now, so I'll shut up.
Well, I mean, we've obviously only had a couple of our favorite films from your incredible repertoire here. But what else can our audience be on the lookout for in the future? Is it that new
Hey,
adaptation that you're working on, the Hook one?
Young Hook.
Young Hook.
Jake and I are doing it. We have some animated things in the works. Uh, I'm also writing a script about Christian Dior and the first Asian model that he hired right after the war. It was a big controversy. Very different for me. Um, and but I think the Young Hook is the one that is putting me back in the fantasy world again, which is a nice place to be.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, my pleasure too. And all I want to say is that for all you writers out there, I want you to think of yourself as something besides just being a writer. You're also a job creator. And for all of you that don't understand that, you watch the end credits and don't turn them off or flip them over when it says skip credits. You watch all those end credits. Every one of those people have a job because some writer had the courage to type the end.
Truth, truth. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, sir.
Jim. Ladies
Appreciate
and
it.
gentlemen, Jim Hart.